Okay, so we're starting the class. And like we said before, we're still studying unit number 2, and we're going to continue studying the language structure. Hello, Professor Heriberto, you're here? Anything? Okay, I'm sorry about that. I have a visitor right now, yes? Yeah, okay, see you later. All right, so coming back to the class. Today we're going to study, or we're going to continue study the language structure. But before, the 2 weeks before, we were studying about phonemes, when we're speaking, the way to speak correctly. And for that, we know that we have to study a lot and that we have to practice a lot. And it's not different from anything related to grammar. Last week, we talked about the roots of the words and the affixes, which means the prefixes and suffixes. And with that, we knew that we have a lot of knowledge in so many words, because knowing the roots and knowing the meaning of the roots and the prefixes and suffixes, we can know about the meaning of most of the words. Thankfully, because the English language is so similar to the Spanish language. Why? Because they have the same roots. Latin roots and Greek roots. And that's awesome, because that makes our lives easier in terms of communication. So, to continue to talk about communication, now we need to talk about the structure, but something that probably it's easier for all of you, and for me too, which will be to write. Written communication. So we have to talk about the structure of the language when you write something. And for that, I'm going to start sharing my visual aids. And now, so that we can start using some information that I already planned ahead for you to be seeing and to have more references about it. So right now you're supposed to be able to see a PowerPoint presentation that I'm using here. And as you can see for today, in terms of the language structure, we're going to talk about text structures. But before even we go to the structure of text, we have to go to the basics of the basics. And what is that? A paragraph structure. And follow me and just bear with me, because this is going to be fun. It's going to be interesting, and what you're gonna be doing for the rest of the week in terms of the homework, it will be referred to a paragraph and of course refer to the text structures. Okay, so yeah, what you're seeing here in this image, that you have an arrow when you can see simple text and complex text. Yeah, we can talk about that as the meaning and a linear structure, if it is clear or not, if it is figurative, ironic, ambiguous, if it uses contemporary language or not. But to be able to understand those, the simplicity or the complexity of a text, we have to understand for real what a paragraph is. And I know that you have studied this in terms of the Spanish language, and it should be very similar. It should be, but it's not the same. Because remember that the way we write in English is slightly different from Spanish. When I said slightly, it's just about the order. Once we understand how to write a paragraph, we're going to consider to talk about the active voice, active and passive voice. And that's something that I do believe, having this experience in life and continuous writer for the scientific community and for my students, I understand that this active and passive voice should be taught. But this is something that is not from a regular English class. And I don't know why. Because when I learned about this was when I was a graduate student, not as an undergraduate. And I'm like, what's wrong with this? Because we all need this. And we all need to communicate in this type of language, written language. So that's why after we understand this, for next week, we're going to consider about, yes, the text, but I will take you to that trip of the active voice and the passive voice. It might be a little complex because it's a little different from what we have learned, but let me tell you, it's so important for you in your life that you're going to be grateful, not to me, but to the language. You're going to be grateful that you are going to understand and be able to write in the correct manner or the correct way as a professional, as an engineer. Okay, so I'm promising a lot, but I hope you can get to learn something else, something different from what you already know. But before that, like I said, we're going to consider this class for talking about paragraphs. A paragraph. We need to understand how to write a good paragraph and then a few more paragraphs. Okay, let's go. I'm gonna move on to the next slide. And I'm presenting you with this image and I'm hoping for you to participate and tell me, what are you seeing there? What is that image? What does that image represent to you? And why do you think that I put that image for the text structure? Anyone? Go ahead and participate.
A hamburger.
Jasmine Sarai, yes, a hamburger. But what do you see in that? How do you know that that is a hamburger?
Because it has bread, it has meat, and it's very tasty.
Oh, so you can see it from the image that that is tasty. Huh, interesting. Does it look like juicy?
Yes.
Oh, like, I don't know. Have you had your breakfast yet?
Yes, but I still have hungry.
Okay, so you still feel hungry, and yeah, this is better, much better. So for everyone, what Sarai is implying here is like, hey, it's not just a picture of a hamburger, but it looks tasty. It looks juicy, and it's inviting you. It's totally inviting you to what? To eat it. Don't you feel like when you see this type of image, when you're seeing that it has bacon and cheese and like the meat, the beef looks really good, tender from the picture, even the bun, the bread, it looks like, oh my goodness, I want to eat you. Like, don't you want to like go through the screen, hold it and give it a big bite? Like, I want to bite this, isn't it? Aren't you all of you feeling the same as Sarai right now? Come on, Luis Roman, what are you feeling right now when you see this picture?
I once eat it.
Awesome, you wanna eat it. So, isn't it interesting that when you see this kind of picture from something that you already know, it's like this juicy burger, it's like, oh, I wanna eat that because it's inviting me. That sort of hamburger is not just any hamburger, but because we're not using a chicken hamburger that many of you may love. Even me, I would like also to eat a chicken hamburger. But when you are seeing this type of hamburger, good bread, because it looks good and it must taste good. Good beef in terms of meat. It has bacon. Who doesn't like bacon? I mean, come on. Right. So when you see something like this, it's definitely inviting you. Like the answer from Luis Roman. Luis Roman said, I want to eat it. So what about the rest of you? Alan, are you there? Do you want to eat this type of burger? Alan? Hello? I saw that you were here in the class.
Yes, I am here.
Good. Do you feel invited to eat this type of burger? Alan? That was a question for you. Do you feel invited as well as Luis Roman and Sarai? Do you feel invited to eat that type of burger when you see it? Alan. Chavez. Sí, Chavez. That was a Spanish joke, not an English joke. Yeah, you told me that you were here, but where are you? I'm looking for you in here. Chavez Pontes, yeah, you're there. So what about Luis Peralta? Luis Peralta, hello. So I need another person. Luis, hi, are you feeling the same as Sarai and Luis Roman?
Yes, that
Okay.
hamburger looks so delicious.
Awesome, that's great. You used another word. I'm so grateful that you're using also more vocabulary. It looks so delicious. Okay, so why am I even using this type of picture? Because I want to attract your attention. Well, not just that, but here's the thing. We're gonna talk about a paragraph, and we can have a very nice analogy to this burger. A very good and juicy burger that will invite everyone to eat it, like this hamburger. So let's see what we're talking about. So we are talking about a paragraph with a hamburger? Yes, with a hamburger. Why? Because we're going to talk about the structure of a paragraph. And if we want to really understand, truly, for real, understand the structure of a paragraph, there's no better way to describe it as with a hamburger. Yeah, I know it sounds crazy, but take a look at this. The hamburger paragraph is giving us the parts of the paragraph. So I'm inviting you right now to start writing, and hopefully, from now on, every time that you write, you're going to remember the juicy hamburger. Maybe you're gonna become hungry and you were going to want to eat a lot, but that's not up to us. It is everyone's, it's your decision if you wanna keep eating. But if we wanna consider a true, real paragraph, we need to consider as a hamburger the parts of it. Because if you take a look at what appears here below me, when you are seeing myself, the image of myself, you are gonna see the parts of a paragraph. And it has topic sentence, supporting sentence, and concluding sentence. So it definitely has a structure. It has, yes, the beginning. The beginning is double G. The ending or the closing sentence. And of course, it has something really important in between, the connection between the beginning and the end. We normally, through text, we normally call this the body. But in terms of a paragraph, we're gonna call them sentences. What is a sentence? Un enunciado, as we know it in Spanish. That's a sentence. So just remember, a sentence, a complete sentence. So here's the thing. If we talk about something when we are writing, you have to understand that writing, it's about building paragraphs, okay? So every paragraph should have this, the beginning and the end, and of course a body, but with sentences, because if you don't have that, it doesn't have the true meaning. Let's go back to the juicy hamburger. Is it really a hamburger if it doesn't have the bun, the bread? So if you take the bread out, is it really a hamburger? Oh, of course not. It wouldn't be a hamburger if it doesn't have the bread. It doesn't matter if you are a vegetarian and you're gonna say like, oh no, but it's a hamburger if you put a lettuce at the end. Then it's not a hamburger, it's something else, okay? If you're vegan or vegetarian, you have to understand, vegan or vegetarian, you do have to understand that is not a hamburger. That's something else, a different recipe, okay? So we're talking a real hamburger, a juicy one like the one that we are taking a look here. So just bear with me. Don't even try to say that, oh no, it's a hamburger if you put lettuce or more lettuce at the end. No, that's not. Okay. So if we take out the bread, we end up just with the middle part, which is juicy. It has the beef, it has the cheese, it has the lettuce, tomatoes, pickles, whatever it is that you like, some dressing like ketchup or any type of dressing that you like in the middle of it. But how can you hold it? Like in this example, you can see from here that we have the dressing there. So if we imagine not having the bread, if you want to try to hold it and eat it, it's going to be a huge mess, a disaster. It's going to end up in your hands and not in your mouth, and of course not in your stomach. Okay, you can leave your hands. I understand you can do that, but that's not the point. It's not complete. Do you understand that? It's not complete with just having the ingredients inside. And it's the same as the opposite. If we only consider having the bread and not having the ingredients inside, do we have a hamburger? No, we only have bread. And it's not even close to be a hamburger. Just bread it's bread. You can have a lot of different dishes with that, but not a hamburger. We have that clear, right? Isn't it? So hopefully you're understanding that now. If we want to have a juicy hamburger, a very nice, delicious, good, with the best ingredients that you love. For example, in my hamburger, I like to have pickles. Not everyone likes the pickles, but I do like them. A lot, actually. So if I want to have all of those ingredients in my hamburger, I need to pay attention. If I want it to be tasty, delicious, amazing for the taste, I need to have everything that is needed in that hamburger to be that delicious. So a paragraph is like that. And in terms of the structure, we have to follow that. We need to have something that is called the topic sentence. In the middle, we'll have the supporting sentences, and we need to have a conclusion sentence. All right, so we're going to talk about those in the next slide. That's what we're going to consider. And we have examples to take a look about revising a paragraph and taking a look at what you're supposed to be doing with a paragraph. All right. And the way that we can correctly write, considering the structure. Okay, good. So let's keep on going. We're not going to have that image anymore. And maybe if you feel hungry, well, you can order a hamburger. I don't know. The class is not really about that, but if you feel the hunger in your stomach, it's not up to me. It will be up to you. All right. Let's continue. So we're going to talk about the techniques of sentence and paragraph construction. Since we're talking about the sentences that are going to be building that juicy hamburger, which is going to be the paragraph. And if we are considering the topic sentence, supporting sentences, and the ending or conclusion sentence, well, we need to understand what we're going to be doing when we are writing. Okay, good. So let's talk about the principles for framing a sentence, which this should be fairly easy for everyone because there, in any language, we need to consider a sentence structure. Just as simple as that, as remembering what you learned in Spanish, it needs to have a subject and a predicate. Un enunciado con el sujeto y predicado. Of course, that's what we're talking about right now. For every sentence, in order to complete the sentences, we need to talk about a real one with the subject and the predicate. So in terms of the defining, in terms of telling about the meaning, the definition of a sentence, okay, that's a unit of thought. It's a unit. So that's why we need to have the connectors in between. So that's why we need not just a subject or a noun and a verb. A noun next to a verb doesn't have any meaning. Remember that we need all of those different words that are going to give you the complete sentence. Okay, it is a collection of words syntactically and grammatically arranged to convey a certain meaning. The main objective of scientific or engineering text is to convey views, observations, and findings to the scientific or engineering community or society at large. Yes. In your work, for those of you who are already working, I think that the only one in this group will be Luis Roman, who is already working as a junior engineer, because you're almost graduating and the type of job that you have right now, it's very related to engineering, and which is really nice. But you won't let me lie right now. I'm sure that you have to write a lot of reports. And that's part of your real life as a professional. If the job that you guys are doing right now, for those of you who are already working during this semester, and if it is not like in that sort of position, maybe, yes, you are not writing a report, but since you are almost graduating, yeah, that's the reality. You are seniors in school. You're in your senior year, the last year of your university degree, which means that you are so close to start working as a professional and so close to stop writing as a homework, but start the writing as to reporting to the company. There are many different types of reports. We're going to talk about those later on, probably in the second class in the English Conversation Seminar number 2. But yes, we're going to consider about those type of reports because it's so important for everyone. So now that you understand that you have to communicate and you have to follow a structure, let's keep on learning and let's keep on practicing, okay? Words should be arranged in a sentence in such a way that the reader gets a clear idea of what the writer wants to convey. And that's just the truth, and we need to be careful when we are writing. I decided to include this picture just because. There's no real reason, but because this is the type of sentences that you learned to write when you were in kindergarten and in elementary school. The hat is big, the girl will run, his father is here, the sun is yellow, the baby is big, the children will, those simple sentences, they do have a meaning, they convey an idea, but it's a big B-U-T, but that's not the reality for an engineer. An engineer needs to write and give the complete idea. As a professional, you don't write this type of sentences. Those were the sentences that you started writing when you took your English courses. Whatever. This is not that type of course. So these are just super duper simple sentences. And this is not what we're going to be using. We need to use more the adjectives. We need to use wisely all of the articles. We need to use more verbs. We need to use more vocabulary, common and technical vocabulary, of course, both. And so we need to concentrate a little more. Yes. Oops. So, principles of framing a sentence. Now we're talking. We're starting to see what we should be doing. A paragraph usually starts with a topic sentence. Topic sentence. Remember when we saw the juicy hamburger? The bun on top, the bread on top, the closing bread. The bread on top said topic sentence. Every time that we are starting a paragraph, because it doesn't matter if our text, what we are reporting, what we are writing, it has 100 different paragraphs. Every time that we said period apart, we need to start with a topic sentence. Just take a look at these sentences that in paragraphs. I have 1 and 2 paragraphs here, and let's analyze them. It says a paragraph usually starts with a topic sentence that expresses the main idea of the writer. So this is also a sentence. This one over here, it's also a sentence. Oops. I'm having trouble because this is too long. I'm trying to get it together. Okay, that's a sentence, and it's also a topic sentence. Take a look. El tema, topic, tema. Okay, so it's telling me, that first paragraph is telling me, okay, you are going to talk about a paragraph that has a start. So it's inviting also, it's telling me what the whole paragraph is going to say. It's also an introduction, but it has the topic sentence. It's not just called, as we learned it in Spanish, we said, oh, an introduction, body, and conclusion. Yes, but a paragraph has a topic sentence. Let's take a look at the second paragraph. It also has a topic sentence. Can you see it there? Hopefully. Okay, so on this first paragraph, then it says, this topic sentence also provides the reader of the paper an idea about the main theme on the paragraph. So this is giving me the supportive, the support part, the support sentence, and then we're closing. It looks like the same sentence, but we have the supporting part and the closing part, which will be gradually developed in subsequent sentences. And now we're ready to have a period apart, because we already completed what we wanted to say about a paragraph and explaining with a topic sentence. But we continue over here in the second paragraph. As language is a code, the sentence should be framed in such a well-ordered way that the reader finds it easy to decode, understand it, to decode it. So you're telling me in the second paragraph that the language is a code, and we should be careful with the sentences, with the order too. And then period followed, and we continue explaining. To do this, the writer must adhere to certain rules while framing a sentence. So now it's finishing the paragraph telling me you must follow some rules. Well, that's good. That's good news. Because if we just leave it like, some simple, like, okay, you're going to have a topic sentence, supportive sentences and conclusion sentences, okay, then we are in trouble because then we start asking ourselves, what are we supposed to do with those sentences? So thankfully, we have some rules that we can follow to help us build the good sentences. What will convey or will give the understanding to the reader? Because you're writing to someone. There wouldn't be any purpose of just writing for yourself. You could do a diary probably, and that will help you, but not on other people. And still, if you want your notes in a diary to help you, you should consider writing the correct way. Yes. So, what is that correct way or those rules? And those rules, we're gonna call them the principles. And we're going to talk about 10. 10 principles for framing a sentence. Okay, they're principles. You don't necessarily need to just record them on your brain or memorize them. No. You just need to get to know them and try to understand what they're telling you to be a better writer and apply them. You can just put them next to you or write them down, print them out and put them in your desk or your table, whatever it is that you study or that you work. And remember every time that you're writing, and with time, you're going to become a better writer. So, first of all, the first principle, avoid long sentences. Do not use unnecessary words. There's a lot of people that likes verbosity, or what we call in Spanish, mucho verbo, which is the same in English, verbosity. You don't need those unnecessary words. Or there's a lot of people who write in circles, like goes around but not delivering the information. So that never works. So avoid long sentences. Go to the point. Number 2, do not cram different points into a sentence. Different points, but are related. They might be part of the same paragraph, but that's why you use a period. Period follow. A period, it's there and it exists because it should be used. So with a period, you separate the ideas and make a new sentence. It should deal with one point clearly. Number 3, do not twist the order of words. Words should be arranged in a logical sequence. Afterthoughts should not be added to a sentence. Regular, normal sequence. Don't just keep adding things that are not even part of the sentence. Number 4, ensure that similar ideas that are expressed in a sentence should take the same structural and grammatical form. You need to make sure that you are writing the same way. And that's what you are going to understand this a little better next week when we talk about the active and passive voice. Just bear with me, just hold on a second. Well, not a second, almost a week. But you need to understand that the ideas in a sentence should continue or should have the same order in all sentences and the grammatical form. The grammatical form, yes, that's what I'm referring to. Are you writing in active voice? Are you writing in passive voice? Are you writing just without any voice? I don't know. Number 5, make positive statements without being hesitant or non-committal. What are you saying hesitant? When you're doubting, when you doubt, or when you are not committal, when you are not really expressing that your ideas are written there. how to write positive statements. So let me tell you what I'm referring to. There's a lot of information that you need to report, and writing in a negative way is not going to let us have a good communication. Hey, but you're going to tell me that you have negative points to report in something, and is it possible to report them or to write them in a positive way when it's some negative? Of course there is. You just have to change the way that you write. For example, let me write something because I'm just talking too much and maybe you need to see it, something that is written. For example, let's talk about a topic that you all like a lot. I don't know, but industrial engineers tend to love a lot, the talking about health and safety. So I'm just gonna say this, something that is negative, like you have found that your workers, the people that work with you, your employees, they don't use their protective equipment, their personal protective equipment, the PPE. In Spanish is EPP, in the same way, their protective equipment. So, and you consider that that is very negative because they might be having some accidents. Yes. So you want to report that, like, oh no, they don't use their personal protective equipment. Immediately at the moment that the person, your reader, is reading this, that they don't use their personal protective equipment and this may lead to accidents, immediately the person who is reading, it's considering negative, and the way that he is receiving the information and the way that he or she is going to react will be negative. And that's the thing that communication should be leading in a way to keep a safe environment for everyone. So it is smart, it is professional to write in positive statements. So how can we write the same? Okay, you can say it in different way. It's been found that the employees need to wear their personal protective equipment when working or when working inside the facilities to protect them or avoid any accidents. I'm telling the same thing. They don't use their personal protective equipment, and I'm telling in a very different way. It's been found that the employees need to wear their personal protective equipment. I'm implying that maybe they are not using their PPE, but I'm giving it a different thought. I'm putting it into a positive way that we're trying to avoid accidents instead of saying that they're going to have an accident. I'm saying it, no, we are avoiding accidents. Why are we taking the effort to write in a positive way? Because it's the smartest way to do it. And you, as industrial engineers, you are part of the people that is going to be leading in the companies, in every organization. You are supposed to be taking the roles of supervisors, managers, and so on. So in terms of that, you need to have the skills, the abilities, the skills for writing correctly, the skills for communicating effectively. And in terms of effective communication, you need to be positive. In terms of that leading to you to be a leader, you need to use effective communication. And again, how do you use effective communication when you're writing? We have to understand the paragraphs. And that's why we're talking about the 10 principles. And that's why this number 5, this principle number 5 is so important in your life and of course in my life too. Exchange the way that you write. In terms of saying no, look around. There might be a chance for every sentence to be written in a positive way. And I know that. I have more experience when in terms of writing. Yes, it's true. So let's continue. Number 6, do not use pompous words or phrases. It's the same as in Spanish. Remember what I said before, what we studied last week, that we have the same roots in Spanish and in English. We will say this in Spanish, pomposo. Do not use pompous words or phrases. Because you're thinking that it's going to look better if you write with those words. No, it's actually going to get you in trouble because those words probably and more certainly are not going to be related to what you're trying to say, and it's going to create a confusion, definitely. So just adjust yourself to the simplest way of speaking. Okay, number 7. Use active instead of passive voice. And like I said before, we are going to consider that as an extra class for next week. Yes, because you need to understand this is a different way of writing, and active voice is the safest way, and it's the better way when you're writing, the better way to write something. Here we explain it in a very simple way. A sentence in active voice is direct and it's easier to read and understand. But this has to deal with the way that you express the verbs and the nouns and of course the adjective. So that's why I think that we should consider some time to explain that part for active voice. Moreover, a sentence becomes forceful when it is in active voice. However, when the action is more important than the person performing the action, it is better to use passive voice. So yes, this is a sort of like an introduction what it really is. For passive voice, you will put like as the noun or as the subject of the sentence, you will put the action. So that's a different way in writing in passive or in active voice. But like I said, it's a little more profound. You have to go in a little more deep into that topic to understand a little better. But before that, let's keep on understanding in general on writing a paragraph, on writing sentences, to have a very juicy, delicious hamburger, or what it will be, a very good paragraph, a very good and professional paragraph, okay? Use the word respectively, carefully. It often makes the meaning of a sentence rather hazy or confused what it is, or it makes it bad. The word actually means in regard to each in order named. So if you have a list of sayings, and if you're going to describe them, you need to be careful on that list if you're going to use the word respectively. It's part of a principle because it's often used, that word respectively is often used in the wrong way. And you don't want that to happen to you. Number 9, pay adequate attention to tense while writing sentences. The timing, present, past, past participle, future, and so on. We need to be careful on what type of tense is that we're using. In scientific and engineering text, the presentation of results should be in the past tense. When you are definitely reporting something, which is normally very common in any type of job. When you're writing a report, you need to use past because you're reporting something that already happened. You're not reporting something that is going to happen in the future, something that already happened. So this should go back to the past. However, the results of calculation and statistical analysis, this should be in the present tense. And guess what? Industrial engineers as you use a lot of statistical analysis. All of those tools for an industrial engineer, all of those quality tools, like the Pareto, like the Ishikawa diagram, those diagrams, like the histogram, and so on. Those are so related to statistics. So everything that is related to their calculation and the presentation of the data and the description of the data, it's used in present tense. Good. And what about number 10? Substitute concrete and specific words for abstract words and use common and simple words instead of stylish and buzzwords. It's telling you, like, use just the vocabulary that you already know and that vocabulary that you're good on managing, that vocabulary that you can actually use. Don't look for some stylish words or some complicated words, because maybe and most definitely you're going to have mistakes. So keep it simple with common and simple words. Okay, so hopefully you're going to remember these 10 principles. You can just copy them and keep using them. Like I said before, you can print them out or write them down, put them into your desk, and remember these for every time that you're going to write something. Okay? Yes. Let's keep on going. To summarize, in summary, the words in a sentence should be arranged to clearly convey the writer's ideas. Clumsiness has no place in scientific writing. The next must be crisp. Long sentences undermine the clarity of a passage and make easy understanding somewhat difficult. So that's the resume of all of what we mentioned there. Don't fall. So let's take a look at an example. This is a paragraph. It has the topic sentence, it has a closing sentence, but it has not following or is not following all of those 10 principles. There is something that we can revise, we can review this original text and exchange it for a better one. So one of the things to become a better writer in terms of writing a paragraph and another, and of course a lot of paragraphs, will be about reviewing. So the best advice at the beginning when you're writing is, the first thing is a draft. Es un borrador. And then you review it, you exchange some words, you make it more simple, you avoid the pompous words, you go straight to the point, you don't use the negative part. Instead of that, you use positive, you write in active voice, and so on with the 10 principles. So let's take a look at this draft, will be the original text. And since we're considering that this is a draft, of course, we're going to show you, or I'm going to show you the revised text over here. So let's go back and see the original text. For this, I need you to pay attention to the text, because the one that is being revised is slightly different. So we're gonna go forward and we're gonna go back to this one too, so that you can take a look at the differences and check that it has been changed. So let's see, the original text says, a mobile phone can change your voice sounds into electrical signals, then into weak radio waves, which are picked up by a transmitter receiver, a part of the cellular network, which changes the radio signals back into electrical ones and sends them to the local exchange. There, The electrical signals were converted to flashes of laser light and sent along fiber optic cables to the ground station, where the laser light signals were changed to electrical ones and then to radio waves, which were beamed up to ComSat in space, which strengthens the signals it receives and beams them back down to another ground station 2 continents away, where the signals were changed from radio waves into microwaves. These were beamed cross-country on a microwave link, and at the main exchange, the microwaves became laser light signals again. After the conversion from light to electricity at the local exchange, the signals reach the handset and become sounds again. So, what is this text trying to tell us? What is this paragraph even saying? Do we have a topic sentence? Yes. At the beginning, it says a mobile phone can change your voice sounds into electrical signals, then into weak radio waves, which are picked up by a transmitter receiver, a part of a cellular network, which changes the radio signals back into electrical ones and sends them to the local exchange. It's there. It's telling us about the signals, the electrical signals that the mobile phone, a cell phone, uses, and that they need to be exchanged. So the problem here is that there's a lot of information, and in the middle, the supportive sentences keep changing a little bit of the tense, and they have some information that keeps going like in cycles instead of going straight to the point. So here's the thing, the information is there, but we need to revise it and make it better. Because do you remember the 10 principles that we just studied? We need to have them here. Let's take a look at the revised text, the revised paragraph, and see the difference. Let's go there. Here, a mobile phone changes your voice into electrical signals, then into weak radio waves. That is the topic sentence instead of this whole huge big one that says a mobile phone can change your voice sounds into electrical signals, then into weak radio waves, and then goes back into electrical ones and sends them to the local exchange. It was like too long. Remember that one of the principles was like avoid the long sentences and go to the point. So yes, it was telling us the information, but goes around and around. So instead of that, stop when it says radio waves. And it's telling us here, it has been exchanged, then into. Mobile phone changes your voice into electrical signals, then into weak radio waves. That's it. That's the topic sentence. So that's telling me that you're going to talk about signals and the transformation of the signals, and that's it. Clear. Perfecto. Perfect. The waves are picked up by a transmitter receiver, part of the cellular network. There you go. I understand now. Easy. Instead of, I'm going back to the other one. Instead of telling me that the waves are picked up by a transmitter receiver, a part of the cellular network, it's explaining too much, which changes the radio signals back into electrical ones and sends them to the local exchange. Right now, what we're doing is the waves are picked up by a transmitter receiver, part of the cellular network. And then, now we talk about that one, and now we're gonna talk about the changes of the signals. The transmitter receiver changes the radio signals back into electrical ones and sends them to the local exchange. Isn't it easier? Now, we are converting a big, huge sentence that was kind of confusing into more sentences that are written in a clearer way and simpler way that we can understand better. And keeps on going. The local exchange converts electrical signals to flashes of laser light and sends these along fiber optic cables. Let's go back to the other one. It was telling us their electrical signals were converted to flashes of laser light and sent along fiber optic cables to the ground station, where the laser light signals were changed to electrical ones and then to radio waves, which were beamed up to the console. And too much, and it's repeating the information. Let's take a look back again over here when it is repeating. There, the electrical signals were converted to flashes of laser light and sent along fiber optic cables to the ground station, where the laser light signals, so it's like telling me this and this one twice with different meaning in one sentence. So I'm getting confused. And also they started using active voice, and then it became passive voice. Because now and also is using past tense. The electrical signals were converted. So now we were back to past. Shouldn't we use in the same grammar and the same tense? Didn't the 10 principles told us that? So that's why it's being revised. And it's avoiding all of this confusion. So now we have here the same part. Oh, let me go back. The same part we have it. The local exchange converts electrical signals to flashes of laser light and sends these along fiber optic cables. You see? It's using the flash, the laser light signals only once. Whereas in the other, the structure that was confusing us was using it twice. And yes, it was definitely confusing us. So, and then it's telling which are beamed up to a ComSat in space. ComSat is the satellite in space, and it's just clearing up the information. So now the satellite receives the signals, strengthens them, and beams them back to another ground station 2 continents away. Let's take a look at this information when it was like a little confusing. Let's go back to the original one. So over here it says, which were beamed up to ComSat in space, which strengthens the signals it receives and beams them back down to another ground station 2 continents away, where the signals were changed from radio waves into microwaves. Too much information that makes it confused. But that's why we can make different sentences, avoid the confusion, simpler words, shorter version, and everyone is happy, everyone can understand it. Whereas in this way that is written here, like I said, and I keep repeating, it's so confusing. And I know that you're getting confused with just trying to read this, and it's hard to understand, but if we go and review and make it better, it's easier. Then here, the signals are changed from radio waves into microwaves and beam cross country on a microwave link. Easy. The signals are changed, they are made microwaves, and that's it. Oh, good. At the main exchange, the microwaves become laser light signals again for the fiber optic network. Good. I understand that. Another sentence, and the final sentence is almost there, but not yet. After conversion from light to electricity at the local exchange, the signals reach the handset and become sounds again. We are getting close to the conclusion sentence. Remember the starting sentence, it should have the same path. A mobile phone changes your voice into electrical signals, then into weak radio waves. Take a look at like almost at the end. The signals reach the handset and become sounds again. It's conveying the information. It's putting the information together with all of those supportive sentences in the middle. And final, your voice comes out of the handset. That's how you can communicate by using your mobile device. And we have the explanation in this revised text. Isn't it awesome? Great. You're also learning information, or probably you didn't know all of this information that is in this text. You're welcome. I'm just saying. So I'm going back to the original one last time for one last time. Let's see, it said here, after this conversion from light to electricity at the local exchange, the signals reach the handset and become sounds again. It was kind of like a closer to being good one, but after reviewing it, we made it better. I'm including myself, I took the example. After the conversion from light to electricity at the local exchange, the signals reach the handset and become sounds again, period, followed. And then the closing sentence, the last part of the hamburger, the bottom bun, your voice comes out of the handset. And it's clear, short, complete sentence. Isn't it good? I hope that with this example, you can take a look at the differences between writing something that is not following the 10 principles for the structure of the paragraph and the one that is following the principles, which is easier to understand, simpler, easier, but you need experience to write in this way. I understand that. So in order to get or to gain that experience, of course, you're going to be writing. That's what you're going to be doing this week. So techniques of paragraph writing. There is no real number for, like, you should write a paragraph with 2 sentences, 3 sentences, 15 sentences, and there is no rule. It's not, you're not going to find that in any book or any web page that you visit and research or investigate about this. And there's no rule that is going to tell you like this, like, oh, between 5 and 12 sentences is the best. This is just a recommendation. A paragraph will be a group of sentences, and a good paragraph will have between 5 and 12 sentences. That's something that is a very good recommendation. But again, it's not a rule. You need to consider that. But if you want to write good, nice paragraphs, yeah, you're going to be talking about between 5 and 12 sentences. And you just need to remember this: topic sentence, supporting details, and closing sentence. When you write a paragraph, we're talking about writing a paragraph, you need to consider this: pre-writing. Write a draft. That's what we're talking about, pre-writing. Unless that you have lots of experience, and now referring to the English language, you're just gonna write it once. But let me tell you, even people that has lots of experience writing, including myself, we have to review or revise it several times. So definitely you need to consider a draft, pre-writing paragraphs. Then of course, writing the paragraph, and this will be again a draft, un borrador. It's not an eraser. When we're talking about writing something, it's a draft. And now editing paragraphs. Editing a paragraph is a part of reviewing the paragraph. And publishing paragraphs will be referring to your final version of the paragraph. Now that, oh, it's ready. Okay, good. It has been after revision. It's good. It's okay. Very good. So now, here is the thing. We have different kinds of paragraphs. Yes, they exist. We can have a paragraph that talks about a definition. We can talk about paragraphs that talk about a classification. those that are for description, those that compare and contrast, those paragraphs for sequence, for a choice, for explanation, and of course for evaluation. Which type of paragraph are you going to be using? All of them. Because we're talking about writing a text, not just one paragraph. That every time that you have to write something, you're going to be using any of those. It might be, yes, a classification, but it might be an explanation. Most of the time it's either description or explanation, but maybe in terms of your text, you're going to be comparing or contrasting information. You might be using a sequence. I don't know. It's about writing. And once you start writing, then you're going to start using any of those types. So going back to the juicy burger, going back to it, just remember this part, topic, sentence, body, which is made for all of those ingredients, like the one that we saw in the beginning. The one that we saw in the beginning, right, Arlette, that you were trying to speak? That was very juicy, that even has bacon on it. Yes, that's the body, the supporting details. And it must be related to the sentence that goes before, because it should follow an order. We took a look at the principles already. And of course, the conclusion is the summary of the information that concludes the information given in a paragraph. So we talk about principles. We related with an example that talked about the signals in a mobile device and how they were converted. But now we need to talk about the steps in producing a paragraph. I mean, the final version, like, yeah, go and work, do something. So there are steps, yes. And that's why I used this image that says paragraph success, steps. It's like going into a big stair, like going from the first floor to the second or third, or I don't know how many floors you need to go to, but it will be about going into writing the correct way. Since we're talking about one of the parts of it, that is the topic sentence, you need to choose the topic. You need to have a topic that you are writing about. Narrow down the topic. Yeah, don't write too general. Write down the topic sentence, that's the first part, but before the first part, which is the topic sentence, you need to already know what you're writing about. That's why it's about choosing the topic. Oh, I'm doing that. That's why it's about choosing the topic and being sure about that one. Generate ideas, details for the body, choose appropriate ideas, arrange the ideas in order, write the draft, and revise the draft. These steps are so much important as the one in the beginning. It is as important to choose and to know about the topic that you're writing, to write it in a draft and revise the draft. Every time that you're writing. That will give you a success. Yes, the 100 that we talk about. Yes, reviewing it. Make sure to write drafts before even writing the final version. So what's about choosing a topic for every sentence? Okay, if we're talking about a whole text, well, then maybe you're just talking about one topic, and that's fine. And then for each paragraph and connecting the paragraph, yeah, your topic sentence is important and it should be related to the general perspective or the general topic. So the topic is assigned. If you don't have a topic, then you need to choose something that you know in terms of the general topic. If it is too broad, too general, it cannot be contained in one paragraph. Then you're going to write 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, or hundreds different paragraphs. If it is too narrow, too simple, too little, the topic, it is hard to come up with ideas that support the topic sentence. So we need to have experience in writing, definitely, right? So if it is too general, we need to narrow the topic. So narrowing down the topic, how do we do that? For an example that is too general, what is life? Well, philosophically speaking, life is a too general topic. We could talk about the life of animals. We could talk about the life in the brain. We could talk about the life in cells. We could talk about the life in, as generally speaking, into the world. It's like we can write a whole book or maybe more than just one book about that topic, life. So if we're talking about writing a paragraph that must be explained in between 5 to 12 sentences, then this topic, life, is too general, super general, don't you think? So what should we do? And if we take a look at the opposite, when it's too specific, too narrow, we breathe in oxygen. So is that the topic? What can we tell about that? It's hard to come up with supporting details about this. So that's also not a good example. When it is too broad or too big for the topic, or when it is too narrow or too specific. Something better that is suitable enough in terms of that kind of sense that we're going through, like if we're considering life or the oxygen, then maybe we can choose a different topic, like why I love to go hiking. Now we have a topic. So then let's take a look at how we can write about hiking and my love about hiking. It must be written in a complete sentence. It must be written as a statement when we're talking about the topic sentence. So we need to consider, why do I love to go hiking? I love to go hiking because I love being outdoors. So now that we have the ideas, we need to start writing the topic sentence. We generate ideas for the topic sentence and also for the supporting sentence. We could do a brainstorming. That's my work, okay? That's not like, well, okay, if you're doing a collective work or some teamwork, yeah, you can do that with some, with a partner, but it's normally used by yourself. So you get brainstorming ideas. It helps generate the ideas. Think about the topic sentence and write down all relating things that come to mind. So remember that we are using an example that the love of going outdoors or the love of hiking. So some ideas could be like this for the topic sentence. I love to go hiking because I love being outdoors. When I hike, I see beautiful sights. When I hike, I get tired and faint. When I hike, I get a good exercise. I have a good time with friends I hike with. I feel accomplished after each hike. Those are ideas. Which ones are going to be helpful? Well, these are just ideas. We haven't even started writing. We just brainstorming the ideas to write the best topic sentence. And choosing the appropriate ideas is the best way to start and write the correct and the best topic sentence. Pick ideas that are most relevant to your topic sentence and that don't contradict but support instead. For example, the one that is contradicting the idea for my love of hikes over there says, when I hike, I get tired and faint. It's like, this is a negative part. It's not supporting my love. If I get tired and faint, it's like, what am I even writing about this? This contradicts why I love hiking. So we need to avoid those and arrange the ideas in order. That might be so helpful. You must arrange the ideas in order that makes sense. Use one important idea after the topic sentence. Use the less important ones in the middle of the paragraph. And finish up with another important idea. For example, I have an example here. I'm gonna be putting these ideas in order. I love to go hiking because I love being outdoors. It's the same ideas that we had before after the brainstorming, but taking out the one that is contradicted. So now we just are left with the ones that talk about the love for hiking. When I hike, I see beautiful sights. When I hike, I get a good exercise. I have a good time with friends I hike with, and I feel accomplished after each hike. If we take a look at all of them, we can rearrange them. Like the first one could be, when I hike, I see beautiful sights. So we are relating the idea of my love for hiking to seeing the outdoors, which is okay, that's the first part. And then second, it could be, I have a good time with friends I hike with. The less supportive ones that are in the middle could be, yes, I get a good exercise. And finally, but not least, I feel accomplished after each hike. All of those ideas are important. Now I have given them an order and they are supported to my topic sentence. And now let's write the draft. With all of those ideas that we had, the draft. And this draft has already the topic sentence. I love to go hiking because I love being outdoors. When I'm outdoors, I see beautiful sights. Seeing beautiful sceneries with a friend whom I hike with is amazing. Not only that hiking gives us a good time together, we also get a good exercise as we do it. And so I feel accomplished after each hike. So those ideas became sentences, but it's a draft. Because if you can see it as I see it there, still it's a little not good. It keeps going around. So we can make this paragraph much better. So this is a draft then. Let's revise it. After composing the paragraph, look at over and over. There's a song about this, over and over again. And again, over and over again. Yes, as many times as you need. You need to revise it. Because remember that we have the stairs to the paragraph success. If you want to have a good paragraph, I'm just talking about a paragraph, not even the entire text, which means that you have to revise the entire text that you write. Make changes to make it more interesting and understandable. It should be understandable. Proofread and edit. Check for spelling and grammar mistakes. That should be always a rule. That should be a rule. Check for spelling and grammar mistakes. So we are getting into the end of today's class. Now it's your turn to construct a paragraph. Yes. Subject, topic, sentence, supporting ideas, and build a paragraph. That's going to be the homework. Yes, as you guessed it. So I'm going to give you the topic for you to give you a support, and the topic will be about the text actually. So this is the end of this the PowerPoint presentation. And like I'm going back to the beginning. So what you're going to be doing on the homework will be about writing a paragraph, 5 to 12 sentences. And what are you going to talk about? Text structures. Yes, because that's the topic that we need to keep covering. So I'm gonna give you a resume of text structure. And from there, you can start getting your ideas. I'm going to ask you on your homework, I'm going to ask you for your draft and your revised version, because I need to see that you did all of that work. So you're going to write something like this, and then you're going to write the paragraph So it's going to be like 3 different pages. And then we'll like the paragraph that is going to be like the original one with which is a draft, and then the revised version. It might not be perfect, but at least it's going to have at least one review, and at least you're going to do the job once. So yeah, that's what is going to be for the homework. And with this, I can say that we have got into the final version of it. And let me show you what I'm going to give you. Is from the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction. I found a very nice example for a resume about text structures. So let me show you, and this is going to be in the platform. And this is the topic that you're going to use for, you're supposed to be seeing what I'm seeing right now for the text structures. And yes, this is a resume about narrative, chronological process or sequence, cause and effect, problem solution, compare and contrast, definition or description. That's for text structures. And what I'm going to use it like for double purpose, because since it's a topic that we are covering, we're going to cover it in your homework of building a paragraph, but also you're not going to be able to understand everything just with that. And then you're going to be doing some research or investigation anywhere, and you're going to write a paragraph. Yes, the homework is write a paragraph, but I'm giving you a topic that you need to investigate a little more. And yeah, that's it. Like I said, your homework will be about 3 different pages. The first page is about choosing your topic and writing down a few sentences, supportive ideas like the brainstorm part. And then the second page will be the original paragraph that you're going to write with a lot of mistakes, but with 5 to 12 sentences. And then finally, a revised paragraph. It shouldn't be that complicated, but it's going to take your time because you need to write it right. Okay, any questions? Or suggestions? If you like the class, you can also say it. Oh, I had fun today. It was different. And I'm hungry now because you used a hamburger for this class. Anything. I'm accepting everything. Remember that every participation counts. You have extra points with your participation. Anything that you want to add? Hello, people? No? Maybe Anael, I don't know.
Yes.
I mean, yes, Arlet? Anael, I don't know who. Somebody speaking? Maybe not. You seem that you were going to speak, but then you backed up. Okay. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I know it was a lot of information, but it was simple information. So I hope that with the homework, you can understand a little more. So by the remaining minutes of this class, I'm going to upload the information for your homework and this PowerPoint presentation to your Canvas session, so you can have all of the information that you need there and that you can start working on this current homework. If you have any questions within the week when you're working with this, make sure to ask. And just remember that next week we're meeting at the normal regular schedule, which is on Tuesdays. If you don't have any questions, I'm gonna ask you to please sign the list through the chat. Signed somehow that you were present and write down something that you saw during this class. It could be hamburger, it could be topic sentence, ending sentence, or closing sentence, supportive sentence. Write down something related to the class, please. And then I can say goodbye from the video and I'll continue here with everyone.